Morning. Hello, in this lesson I want you to solve multi-step inequalities. The vocabulary we're going to come across is set builder notation. If we take a look at our first problem here, we solve an inequality just like we solve an equation. We add 6 to both sides. And so we get y is less than 9. So when you graph this in the number line, we have to have 9 on our number line, don't we? You can have other numbers, like I'll put 10 and I'll put 8 here. You're not including 9, so I'm going to put an open circle on the 9 because that doesn't include it. And then I'm going to shade to the left of 9 because that'd be all the numbers less than 9. Now you might want to write this in set builder notation. In set builder notation, we write it as a set, and we always put it in order. So since I'm less than, I want to go all the way to negative infinity. We always have a parentheses with negative infinity because you can never reach infinity. We're going to go up to 9, but I'm not going to include 9, so I have a parentheses there. If you include it, it'll be a bracket. And that's how you would do the first problem. Let's take a look at example 2. Kind of do the same thing. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4.2. Now remember, when you divide by a negative, don't forget to flip the inequality. That's probably the biggest thing. If you don't do this on the test, you lose all the points because that's kind of important. So greater than or equal to. So let's say x, and then I'm going to take out my calculator. If I take negative 29.4 divided by negative 4.2, I get 7. So on my number line, well, we'll have 7 on my number line. And I'll have them, this time will be a closed circle on 7, and I'm going to shade it to the right. In set builder notation, I'm going to go a bracket from 7, because I'm going to include 7. I'm going to go all the way to positive infinity. When you do this, they have to be in order. It'd be incorrect if you put, if you have these as positive infinity, then 7. So we have to have it in order. Now let's take a look at example 3. We're going to do the same thing. We have to do a little simplifying here first, though, don't we? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. So I get negative 24c is less than or equal to 5c plus 58. Now I like to have all the c's on the left-hand side, although it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5c from both sides. So then I'm going to get negative 29c is less than or equal to positive 58. I divide both sides by negative 29. Since we divide both sides by a negative, we flip the sign. So we're going to say c is greater than or equal to, this time it will be negative 2. So on my number line, I'll have negative 2. And then to the right of negative 2 is negative 1. To the left of negative 2 is negative 3. And I'll close my parenthesis, or I'll fill in my dot. And then I want it to be greater than, so I'm going to shade to the right. And there we have it. In set builder notation, since I'm bigger than negative 2, I'm going to have an, whoops, I don't want yellow. Let me redo that, change the color here. So I'm going to have a bracket on negative 2. I'm going to go all the way to positive infinity, in parentheses and positive infinity. Because remember, positive infinity has to be a parentheses. Now, you might see it sometimes written as in set notation, like you'll have braces, it'll C such that C is greater than or equal to negative 2. That's another way of writing it, but it's the same thing. Let's take a look at an application. It says, Javier has at most. What does at most mean? In terms of inequalities, that should be less than or equal. So Javier has at most $15 to spend today. He buys a bag of pretzels and a bottle of juice for $2.59. And if gasoline at the store costs $3.39 per gallon, how many gallons of gas can he buy? To the nearest tenth of a gallon. So make sure we do that rounding. So first off, we're going to say we're going to be less than or equal to 15. And then we're going to start with $2.59. And I'm going to add $3.39. I'm going to use G for the number of gallons. So $3.39 for every gallon. So now we're just like we solve an equation. I subtract 259 from both sides. Whoops. So we notice that 259 minus 259, that makes 0. So I bring down the 339 point G, or 339G, not point G, is less than. If we take 15 minus 259, you get $12.41. Now I'll divide both sides by 3.39. Now be careful, it's less than. You should not round this. So if I take G is less than or equal to 1241 divided by 3.39, we get 3.66666, right? No, 3.6607. But I can't spend more than that. So I have to spend, if I try to do 3.7, I won't have enough money, would I? Technically, person would probably give you a penny to fill it out, but I'm going to say, round it to the nearest tenth, I'm going to say G is less than or equal to 3.6. Round down because you don't have enough money. So I would say, and since it's a word problem, write it out as a complete sentence. I'd say Javier can buy at most 3.6 gallons of fuel and have enough money.